you would have told me 10 years ago that I will be creating guided stationery products like journals and planners for a living, and that my business would make over $4 million in sales selling my absolutely dream product, guided journals and planners, I would have probably cried, because that was always my dream, but I just didn't know how to do it. And it's not like that there were YouTube videos around like, hey, here's how you can create a stationery business. So today in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can start your own journal and planner business in 2026. Many of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you here in the video are things that took me years to learn, and I was totally not aware of when I got started, and I wish I would have known, because it would have not only saved me a lot of money, but it saved me a lot of time as well. If you're watching this video, most likely that's because you either have a passion for stationery products and you've always thought like, wouldn't it be nice to have my own business around it? Or you have something to share with the world, and sharing it in form of like a guided journal or a planner is the way that you want to share it with the world. So I've used notebook stationery products all my life, ever since I was a child. So thinking on paper has been really important to me ever since I was a teenager. I wasn't too familiar with guided journals because there were not a lot when I was a teenager. And in my early 20s, this product here came on the market. I bought it right away, and I fell in love with the idea of having a fusion of sort of like a self-help method built into a journal. So you learn something, but you implement, and you're journaling with structure. So you're not just using a blank paper, but you're answering questions. And I loved it. Problem was, I had no freaking clue how I could do that. So while I had the desire to create my first guided journal, I had a lot more question marks than I had answers. I initially thought, hold on, do you need a publisher to do that? Is this similar to writing a book? Do I even have like the permission to do this if English is not my first language? Even though most of my life I've been journaling in English, not in German, which is kind of odd. I don't know why that is. But I felt like, do I have permission to create a English product? Since I'm not a native speaker, I'm not like the best writer, I'm not an author. At that time, there was no AI, right? So I had to still write things on my own. And I think this is probably one of the things that I would regret the most now that I didn't start earlier. Because there was no point waiting 7 years to do it. There was just no point in waiting that long. I was just too scared, and I felt like there was no instructions anywhere on how to do it. And as I was looking around on YouTube at the moment, I see that there's still very little instruction on how to do this. And as someone who has not only created lots of different products for my own brands, but also I have done projects for other businesses, I have created products for others, I have a team that helps people create products for others. I've taught other people how to create products for others. I decided, come on, let's get this on YouTube and let's share. So what I want to guide you through is from how do you go from an idea, or how do you even develop an idea, to having a finished product that you can sell. There are 4 different distinct phases that we need to go through in order to be able to build a successful journal and planner business. The very first is going to be the product choice. What is the product going to be? To build our planner business, we need to think of what is the type of product we're going to be selling. We need clarity on 2 different things. Who do we create a product for? And what problem, desire are we helping with? When we think of what niche to go into or what idea to start with, it will often be the problems that we want to solve in the world, or the area in life that we want to support people in, or sometimes support ourselves. I found that some of my best products have been things that helped me, where I've learned something, but also products that I wish they were on the market. As an example, I'm going to share one of my own products. This is an ADHD planner. I've created this because I personally have ADHD, and I found that there were certain planners that worked more for me than others, and I created my own planner that I wanted to use by having a daily system that wasn't too overwhelming. Once we have decided on a product idea and what it is that we want to create, we need to think of like, okay, what's going to go inside of this product? Our second stage is developing the content and the design for our product. The way that I do this and guide people through is thinking of an A to B journey. What this basically means is, where's the person before? Where are they going to be after using the product? And all of the steps in between is what the planner can help them with. Whenever I create a product, I try to get as clear as possible about the A to B journey and try to understand not only how do they behave, what do they do, what do they not know, but also how do they feel. And the same with the after. How do they behave differently? How do they think differently? What do they believe differently? And how do they feel different? And what are they doing differently? When you think of a guided journal or a planner, often the content is structured around either a step-by-step process where the person keeps learning something and follows instructions. That's often a lot more similar to a workbook. That's where they go step by step. The second approach tends to be a practice approach, where they learn something and the purpose of the journal is helping them practice. So there's often lots of repetition. Let me show you two real-life examples. Here we have a step-by-step approach where the person, as they're filling this up, they are following a system step by step, and you'll notice that there's not as much repetition here. You're following a step-by-step process. In this journal here, it's more a practice journal where while in the beginning you have some principles, you're learning some, but the main purpose of this journal is to follow a daily practice. And every day is almost the same. What type of approach you want to take is going to depend a lot on your A to B journey. Who are you helping and how are you helping them with? And are you helping them form a practice or are you guiding them through a step-by-step process? Either way, we want to understand what the rhythm of this product is. Is this something that is being used daily? Is this something that people reflect on now and then? Is this something that people can just pick up and use whenever they want? What is the rhythm that you see for this product? And once you get clarity on that, that's the method that you can then productize. And that's also when we can think of like, okay, what's going to be the text that goes on all these different pages? So the way that I do this, I have a document, a Google document that is my copy deck. Basically, it's one document where I put all of the copy and all of the things that are going to go inside the planner and prepare them to then later on pass them on for design. Either you design it yourself or in my case, I work with a designer to help me design the product. And you'll notice that as you design or as your designer starts creating the pages and things of the layout and things about how product can be used, you'll notice that's truly where the content creation is refined and done. Because in theory, a prompt can look nice. Once you see it then on paper, you might be like, I'm not quite sure what I was thinking here. I would rather do it in a different way. So I find that the design phase, and I tend to give the design phase some time. I don't think I've ever had a journal that was designed in less than a month, because to really have a good product, that's where you want to spend some time here and experiment, test the pages, go back and forth, notice, is there a way that I can reduce this on the page? Is there a way that I can make it even clearer? Is there a way that I can add exercises that make the flow simpler, or that where it is a lot easier to understand for the person what to do? One of the main things or the mistakes that I've made over the years is that I didn't quite understand the nuance between what in theory sounds nice to have in a journal to what feels good as an experience. So user experience was something that I've learned throughout the years. And one thing that I keep being reminded of is less is more. And even though we sometimes feel like, oh, I want to give this context, I want to give this exercise, and if I don't do this, I don't feel it's complete. And then we stuff the product with one exercise after the other, one thing after the other. And then suddenly people have like this massive, heavy thing that you open and you just want to close again because it's just so overwhelming. So if we want people to use our product, often we have to keep it a lot simpler. And the design phase is what allows us to go back and forth, print the pages. Are these questions still making sense? Would I feel annoyed at them? Would I feel like I'm being asked too many questions? Because we don't want to unnecessary just for the sake of us feeling great because we have so much in there and so much value. Truly, we want to keep the person that is using the product always at the front of our mind, that more is not more. We want them to make progress, and we want them to be able to make progress with the least effort. We don't want to add things for the purpose of adding more things and for the purpose of looking more valuable. And this was a mistake that I've done. I've added a lot of things from the perspective that it's going to be more valuable to people. I want to add value, and I thought value means more. But value is often in the simplicity of, let me do the thinking work for you, client. You don't have to do all of these exercises if I can give you the same progress with less. Once we have the design, that's when we go into the fun bits. And that is manufacturing and printing and thinking of all the beautiful materials. I personally have a preference for like faux leathers, linens. I want the product to look expensive, luxurious, because I think it does a lot to the perceived value and how attractive it is to people. This is one of the most important bits of the journey. It isn't always the easiest. We want to balance between quality, design, and our cost. If the cost is too high, we cannot have a profit, and we then don't have a business, we have an expensive hobby. If the design and quality isn't right, we also won't have a profitable business, because these are two important bits in not only customer satisfaction. We want this person to be happy, of course, but also we want this person to notice our product and desire our product as well, where quality and design plays a role. What we're looking for is a printing partner, not just any type of printing partner. A mistake many people make is they go for a company that specializes in merch. This is something we do not want. If you find a manufacturer in Alibaba, you want to make sure that they are not a merch manufacturer and have all sorts of different types of products that they are creating. What we want to look for is a specialist. Specialist in journal, notebook, creation. We're looking for a big size and experience. What I don't recommend is print on demand, because it won't match the quality. So we don't do any print on demand, and we don't do any type of merch manufacturing. We look for specialists in journal and planners. They have a bigger size and they have experience. On Alibaba.com, if you're looking for notebook manufacturers, you will find how big they are in their profile and how experienced they are. And you can sort by vetted manufacturers. So you want to really sit for that. As we manufacture our products, you'll notice that there are a lot of different choices, from colors, material types, and we want to collaborate with one that can offer us all the choices. If you notice that the choices are limited, most likely it is not the right manufacturer. As we manufacture, we also want to think of accessories. These are, for example, elastic bands. There are things like ribbons, that we might want to have back pockets, different types of covers, spiral finishes, and so on. I personally love to go to a stationery shop and just like look at all the different things that speak to me and make photos, basically so that I can then communicate to the manufacturer, do you see this type of spiral, this color I'm liking, I like this accessory, can you do something like this? So that I can communicate a lot better with the manufacturer. And we want to make sure we have a design that stands out, quality that is good, but it's also cost effective. The way that I manufacture is as a group purchasing collective, where we get all of this for the best possible cost, because together we manufacture over 500,000 products, which makes us have a really good position with vetted manufacturers. And if you're interested in learning how you can manufacture with us and have support, there's a link in our description box. Once you have found a manufacturer that you want to work with, you want to get your first sample. The first sample is basically a prototype of the finished product that you want to be creating later on, so that you can see, oh, is the material I've chosen right? Is the printing on the product that I've chosen the right thing? How do I like the usability of the product? What's my first impression? And you always want to get a sample created before you purchase any bulk products. So that's what I do, and I always check these 3 things. First impression, then how it feels, and use. I will use my own product and notice, does it make sense? Do I like the prompts? Do I like my exercises? Is the font size big enough? Do I like the colors? Do I like the paper color? Is the paper thick enough? Do I want it thinner, thicker? All of these things are decided with a sample. I would never manufacture a product without getting the samples first. And once your sample is decided and you are ready to go to market and launch your business, we enter a new stage, which is sales and potentially a pre-order. A sample can also be very valuable to validate your idea. One thing that I like lately, and something that I'm working on as I'm recording this video, is a pre-order. With a pre-order, you can create your sample and then make the product public. Either ask people if they want to purchase it, pre-order it, or if they want to be on a wait list to be the first to get the product. This way you can get a really good idea how popular the product is going to be and if there's true demand for the product. It means you have photos of your samples. So you have photos of, hey, this is my planner. Do you want to purchase it? And if you have enough people purchasing the product, that's when you go into production. There are different platforms to do that. There are Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and so on. Many famous planner brands have started with a pre-order to launch their business. If you already have an audience, you do not want to do a pre-order, because the downside of a pre-order is that it takes a lot of time for the client to get your product. So you can also start thinking of selling directly to your audience, or if you want to sell on a marketplace, Amazon, it can be Etsy, and so on. There are also places like TikTok Shop where you can collaborate with other people that have an audience, and so on. You just want to think, where is it that I'm going to be selling my product, and how am I going to solve for the 3 things that every planner business needs? We need one form of a traffic. How do people find it? We need one form of conversion. How can people pay you? Is that through a website? Is that through Amazon? Is that through TikTok Shop? Is that through a landing page? Like, Where can they process a payment? And the third bit is, how can you fulfill? There's different options. Either if you sell on Amazon, Amazon can fulfill for you. They have warehouses and they have a fulfillment service. There are also third-party fulfillment services that can help you here. But this is something that you want to think about ahead of time. What is the traffic going to be like? Where are you getting people to know what your product is? How are they going to be able to pay you? And how are you going to ship the product out? And these are the 4 stages of launching a successful journal and planner business. If you have any questions, if you want me to create any video about something in particular, let me know in the comments. I would also like to know what type of journal planner you like to create. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye!